The country froze. Phones lit up, televisions blared, and social media exploded with a single headline. Pierre Poilievre demands recount. Questions legitimacy of federal election. In a moment, the nation was thrown into political chaos. But behind the headlines, beyond the noise, was a story of conviction, betrayal, and one man's relentless pursuit of truth, even if it meant tearing open old wounds. It all began in the quiet moments after the election results rolled in. The Liberal Party had claimed a narrow and controversial victory by just 312 votes in a critical swing riding in Ontario that tilted the entire national balance. The airwaves declared a win, but for Pierre Poilievre, something didn't sit right. Not just a hunch, not just politics, but a gnawing feeling deep in his gut. He had seen the passion in people's eyes at town halls, heard the anger in their voices as they spoke of affordability, freedom, and a government that seemed deaf to their pain. He had promised them honesty, accountability. Now, as whispers of voting irregularities began to bubble beneath the surface, broken machines, mismatched tallies, ballot boxes mysteriously misplaced, Pierre faced a choice: concede gracefully, or stand up and demand what many were too afraid to ask for. He stood up. The backlash was instant. Liberal leaders took to every platform, accusing him of undermining democracy, calling him dangerous, desperate, divisive. "This is America-style politics," one minister declared, shaking with rage on a live broadcast. "Pierre Poilievre is attacking the very fabric of Canada's peaceful political traditions." But out across the country, in farm towns, suburbs, and struggling city blocks, something different stirred. People weren't just watching, they were waking up. A young mother in Calgary, exhausted from juggling 2 jobs and rising grocery bills, whispered to her neighbor, "At least he's fighting for something." A retired schoolteacher in Nova Scotia, who had never voted Conservative in her life, called her son and said, "Maybe he's not the villain they say he is." Pierre didn't sleep. His team worked around the clock, gathering affidavits, scrutinizing digital logs, challenging poll station inconsistencies. The more they uncovered, the more questions arose. One whistleblower, a mid-level Elections Canada employee named Marcus Tran, broke down in tears during an anonymous interview, revealing how pressure from above had forced them to process results faster than we could verify. He was scared, but Pierre's determination gave him courage. "If he can speak out," Marcus said, "so can I." The Liberals, once confident, began to crack. Behind closed doors, panic brewed. A top strategist leaked a memo to the press. Recount. Could be catastrophic. Public confidence at risk. Then came the hearing. The courtroom was packed. Outside, thousands gathered, some in support, some in protest, all seeking answers. Pierre stood before the judge, not as a politician, but as a man who refused to let the truth be buried beneath political convenience. "This isn't about power," he said, voice firm. "It's about principle. It's about ensuring every Canadian vote counts, not just the ones that help us win." A hush fell. The judge ruled. A full recount would proceed immediately under strict supervision. Over the next 2 weeks, the country held its breath, and when the dust settled, the numbers spoke clearly. The Liberals had won by just 6 votes. 6 votes in a nation of millions. But now, those 6 votes meant something. They were counted with integrity, with transparency, with truth. Pierre Poilievre didn't win the seat, but he won something greater. He proved that no voice is too small, that democracy isn't a convenience, it's a fight. He inspired millions to care, to question, to get involved. In that recount, Canadians saw themselves, fractured, frustrated, but not broken. And as Pierre walked out of the courtroom into the sea of flashing cameras and shouting voices, he didn't smile in triumph. He simply said, "We don't back down when it's hard. We rise up because it matters."